Growing up as a kid, for some reason, I've always had these desires, this urge to learn and to understand things about the occult, things dealing with spirituality that come from the perspective of the demonic. Now, of course, now I know and understand why I've had these desires in the past, but when I was a kid growing up, I never understood. You know, my mother, she was a devout Pentecostal. Me and my 9 siblings, we were practically raised in a Pentecostal church. So I knew and understood a lot about the devil and demons and God and Jesus or whatnot. You know, I grew up in a fairly religious setting. And believe it or not, when I was in my late teens and early teens, I experienced certain apparitions and, paranormal activity that would haunt me for, I would say, for at least a span of 6 to 7 years. And not to mention that the succubus spirit that used to haunt me and harass me when I was young, I've always had not so much simply the desire itself, but the understanding of things of the occult. When I used to read things on certain aspects of esoteric movements, when I would look at documentaries about certain cult leaders such as Jim Jones, David Koresh, I understood them. I never knew them, but I understood that they have a similar problem as I do. Now, more or less, these guys were definitely either schizoids or schizotypals mixed with narcissists. You see, I have a subtype form of schizoid personality disorder. This is a condition that gives me a predisposition of being prone to having desire towards being fascinated with the occult. I've seen the Bigfoot before when I was young. This spirit appeared to me and it followed me all the way home. And guess what she did to me when I was asleep in the bed? I woke up and I couldn't even move when she was standing over my bed. She was a mildly attractive, sort of late 30, early 40 type of middle-aged woman, and she would wear this long white gown, look kind of. She had the little turtle dove of a fairly wealthy slave master's wife. I just knew she was a slave master's wife, and this apparition, which would simply molest me. I was a 9-year-old kid and I was molested by this apparition. She was a white woman, of course, only a slave master. So his wife would be white. I remember the time when she, when she appeared just floating over my bed when I woke up and I couldn't move, but I can see her, just a part of her torso would appear and it would be pitch black in my room, but I can see her perfectly. And I was terrified, but I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream for my parents, anything. And all of a sudden, she just ripped her like shirt, and she had the most beautifulest breast and body. I was completely terrified, but I was completely turned on. But this would happen, so she would flash at me for the next, 7 times until she would start molesting me. This is why I have this sort of fetish towards plastic. It kind of starts from that perspective too. This serves the reason why I have such sexual perverted behavior. My fascination with the occult stem from me playing Ouija boards and seeing aliens, talking about things. I've seen black-eyed children before. I saw a black-eyed child a long time ago in the late 80s. Never said anything about it. My parents, they had me on schizophrenic medication. You know, they had me seeing a handful of doctors, you know, and they were just angry at me because I was saying I was seeing these ghosts and these apparitions. But, you know, my mother one day told me, if you don't stop saying you're seeing ghosts or apparitions, we're going to throw you in the crazy home. And back then, you know, in that whole ignorant foundation between, you know how uneducated people are with their, you know, fear of being people in the crazy home and the whole stereotype of, you know, the idea of mental asylums. You know, sometimes when I used to walk around in public, I can see in the spirit realm. This happened between the age of 7 to 9. I would walk around and I would see apparitions of everything. Demonic-like creatures following people. Sometimes I can see inside of people's bodies. Sometimes I can. There was this one time when this housewife that she must have been killed, I don't know, sometime days ago, but she appeared to me one time in my room when I was doing my homework at the home when no one's at home. This you know, sort of a relatively young white housewife woman. Her throat was slit and she was wearing this gown. She was all bloody over. And she looked at me. And she told me, "My husband just murdered me. Can you help me? Can you call the police?" She was not a body. This was not a real person. She was a spirit. I don't know whether she was a demon or not, but it terrified me. Apparitions of dead people appeared to me on a few occasions. Sometimes I would see people come out. You know, I would walk around neighborhoods. Sometimes I would see people. Their spirit would come out of the house, and I just knew that they either died of a heart attack or they committed suicide. I can tell. Sometimes I can see people who are in the occult or who are Satanists because I can see when they astral travel, you can see the umbilical cord that is connected with the person's body in the spirit realm. And trust me, I had never in my life dabbled in the occult. I never messed with a Ouija board. This stuff all became natural because I know one thing. I have a combination of schizotypal personality disorder. I am a maladaptive daydreamer. These are preconceived conditions that are related to the demonic. That's why I had a fascination or have a fascination with the occult. Because I have been conditioned to. It's almost like I can't even help it. I don't want to have a fascination with the occult. I want to have a fascination with Jesus. But with my condition, it makes me prone to this fascination. That's the unfortunate thing.